Hey everyone, welcome back to Top Leaders. Today we have Nazma Rosado. And Nazma is not only an incredibly best-selling author who has a board game, Lead the Way, which I can't wait one day to be able to play the board game, but Nazma is a dynamic leader with nearly 3 decades of experience in healthcare, pharma, and biotech. Yet, Nazma, you are now focusing your efforts on being a management consultant. What was the inspiration behind that?
I just looked at, what was the thing that really brought me alive, brought me joy, made me just want to hop out of bed and get to work as quickly as I could. And that was connecting with people and helping them solve problems. I've always had the mantra of, well, we can complain about it or we can change it. And so just being in that space of let's change it, I have really enjoyed getting to meet different people, leaders, and even, new hires, right? Entry level, every level. We all need someone in our corner to help guide us. And the real sort of blessing from it all is I learn as much from them as I teach them.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. You know what? The most successful people I talk to always tell me that they are still learning. We never stop learning. So, what is it that you find leaders typically are struggling with when they come to you?
Yeah. I often say leaders are people too, right? They struggle with the same things we're all struggling with. They're not different in any way. It's just that they're at a higher level. And it's so maybe their decisions or the consequences of their decisions are more impactful. More than anything, though, they're under the microscope of being highly visible. So imagine the pressure of having everyone know if you make a goof, and we all goof up. We're just human. So I'm often reminding folks, leaders are people too, and they struggle with the same things we all struggle with. I see I spend a lot of my time doing executive coaching conversations with them. And I see a lot of questions around how can I manage my time better? How can I be more effective? How can I make better decisions? Or what leadership style should I demonstrate in this situation? Right? How can I prepare best to go into, whatever kind of communication they need to, whatever type of meeting or whatever it is that they need to do? And the one thing that I've noticed that really unites us is that every single one of us, no matter what your title is or your gender or any other type of differentiator you might think of, we all struggle with imposter syndrome, right? It's that nagging question on the back of your head that goes, am I good enough? Am I, smart enough? But why did they choose me for this? Like, am I going to mess this up? We all have that little bit of self doubt, and it actually makes us better. But I think oftentimes people think it's just them, and it's very lonely when you think it's only you.
I have definitely struggled with that in my life, so I can relate to that. So you've written 2 books with a third on the way. One of them is Lead the Way. It even is a board game. Tell me about that book.
Yeah, lead the way really came together as I was thinking about, there isn't a training program or a development program that I saw that I really liked and felt that it connected, whether if you're at a senior level looking to refine some of your skills, or if you were a first time manager, right? There wasn't anything that really existed that I felt gave you real world experience types of situations that you then have to navigate and get advice from others. So I decided again, right, I could complain about it or I can change it. So I decided to change it. So what I did was I built this entire ecosystem. It's the book, it's the board game, it's an online app version of the board game. So you can do it for remote teams. And what else? I think the two most important elements is there's a pre-assessment. So if you're like, I think I'm a pretty good leader, and you kind of take this assessment and it'll tell you, maybe you could strengthen your decision making in this area or that area. And then it comes with, if you were to choose a 3-day workshop, that can be modified depending on what your needs are, but really helping people practice and learn and understand techniques to manage their time or to make their decisions or to communicate better or whatever it might be.
So what led you to be inspired to do not obviously the book makes total sense like what you said, and then now the board game. I don't think that's very common. At least I haven't talked to a lot of people that have made board games before and had a book, together with it. What was the inspiration for that?
The funny thing is the board game came first and the book came last. Everything else was kind of in between. Um, it was essentially I had a conversation with some colleagues. We were on a hike and we were talking about gamification and how it's so great to help people learn, and we need to build a little bit more of that into some of what we develop for our clients. And a couple weeks later, I had essentially a fever dream where I was like, oh, it would be so cool if we did this and we did this. And I just hit the computer and started typing out my notes and started working on it. And luckily, it was like in August. And so work was a little bit quiet because everyone's vacationing. And I was able to just pour my heart and soul into developing and designing this game and various scenarios and all of that. And then from there, I thought, oh, okay, the game is great, but not everyone's going to want to play a game, right, at different levels. So I created like a separate sort of game, which is just scenario cards. So you don't have to necessarily have a game board, but you can use it at meetings or something to say, hey, if this was a situation, how would we handle this? And how would we advise each other and whatnot? And then it just kind of kept mushrooming from there. But it came from this real place of how do we help people sort of drop their guard and really explore the things that they want to be better at, that they know they can sharpen their skills on. And it's not only skills, but it's also competencies, right? So there's like skills like negotiating, but then there's competencies like problem solving, right? So it's not just here's a tool or a method and a tool and a method, but it's really in the real world, sometimes the tools and the methods don't really fit the solution that I need to create here, right? So bringing it all together. And I'm a huge fan of having fun, which is why a board game, right? And then like an online app, because if we have fun while we're learning, we're going to retain it. Right. It's like when we were kids, right? We play games. We still think about games we played and the rules that went with them from when we were younger. So if we build that in, then people get much more comfortable and the information seeks it.
I love board games. I love having fun. And if there's education there, it just makes it even better. It probably education in the future will be more gamified, and we don't have the best attention spans as we know, and we're so busy. So I like this ability to really be able to focus on something that you're having fun with. When you think about the traits that make a good leader, what comes to mind?
Top of mind immediately empathy, right? So having that high emotional intelligence, that being able to see and to hear what's being said, what's not being said, right? And, I do a lot of most of my executive coaching online through Zoom or Teams or whatever. And, people often ask, well, how effective is that? Because you're not in person with that individual. And what I say to them is, if I give you my full attention, I'm not taking notes while you're speaking. I'm just looking and listening to you. I can see if there's something that kind of passes across your face, right? If I've touched a nerve or if you are suddenly becoming emotional, I can see that if I'm looking for it. And then I can, kind of explore that with you. So I think that, as things change and evolve, we have to adapt. And I think that that ability to connect with people is the most important one. Now that we have employees who are remote or folks who are hybrid and whatnot, as a competency, as a skill, as the kind of thing that makes a good leader a great leader, that ability to really empathize with others, I think is up there as the most important.
I know you have a new book coming out soon. What is the Change Playbook about?
The change playbook basically shares various models that we have and have had existing for quite a while in change management, and helps you identify when would I use which one. For me personally, like if I'm meeting with a potential client and they say, well, which is your favorite, change model? I don't really have one. And oftentimes it's a piece of this one and a piece of that one that I cobble together to get what I need. And so it's really just here is a gathering of everything that's out there. Here's how I use it, and a way that you can cobble together what you need without being a slave to a particular methodology.
Sounds amazing. I can't wait for that to come out. I'm sure by the time this video comes, it's going to be even closer. And being an author myself, it's so exciting when you have that book in your hand. I mean, there's nothing like that feeling. But if people want to get in touch with you, because I'm sure they need the books, the board game, they might need your help consulting, and then they also want to follow along when the next book comes out, how can they do so?
So there's multiple ways, right? So I'm very present on LinkedIn, so you can find me there. Fortunately, my name is rather atypical, so you're not going to find multiple Nazma Rosados. But aside from LinkedIn, I have my own website. It's nazmarosado.com, and you can learn a lot more about me there. If you want to learn about our services and our expertise, then you can go to avionconsulting.com.
Well, Nazma Rosado, thank you so much. Can't wait to read your newest book. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. Maybe another board game coming out. Who knows, right? Maybe something else.
Yeah, we'll
We'll have,
see. We'll see how
we'll have to
it goes
see.
in the process.
They have to follow along to see. So, again, thank you so much for all that you do to impact other leaders and leadership and companies as well. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.